Good morning. You're looking very fit.
Thank you.
Do you mind me sharing the fact with our listeners that you've lost a bit of weight?
Yes, I've lost an extraordinary amount of weight using the famous Manjaro, or whatever it's called. I still can't pronounce it properly, but
Does it hurt?
no, it's tiny.
Is
So
it?
it's so small. You sometimes think that time in the morning, that you haven't done it.
Oh God, so you don't turn around and do it again.
No, no, you have to have a look, see if there's there's a tiny dot, where.
And is it true that most of your old clothes are now available on eBay?
Yes, I have 32 Hawaiian shirts on eBay at the moment. Um, even even my feet have got smaller. They're half a size smaller. So I took all my shoes, including some brand new ones, to the charity shop in Widcombe. Yeah,
How
extraordinary, isn't it?
dainty.
Yeah.
How
Suddenly realised
dainty.
my shoes were like boats.
Ralph, you look very well,
Thank
and
you.
I'm sure you're very pleased that you've achieved what you've done. You put me to shame. Now, look, for the benefit of those who don't know you, so that's basically for the newcomers to Bath. You were artistic director of Bath Natural Theatre Company for some time. And during that time, I'm telling you what you should be telling me. During that time with Natural Theatre, you've travelled the world, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was. Well, you might call artistic director. The title didn't come in till later, but I was in that position for nearly 50 years.
Wow.
I came to Bath for a fortnight. There was a mate down here, and I was at college with, and he said, "Oh, there's this theatre company starting, and they're full of ideas, but they got no money." And he said, "You're good at making things out of nothing. Why don't you come down and give them a few hints?" So I came down, and I never went back.
And, long will you be remembered. I'm surprised there's not a plaque on the wall of the workshop in Widcombe. Now, Rolf, anybody working in the theatre has limited time at Christmas, which is coming up. You've got a bit more time now, I suppose, but was Christmas special when you were travelling around the world?
Well, you would think so, because you say been all around the world, but you don't really see it. And when you're there, you're nervous about what you're going to do that night, or you're driving to the next place, because the scale we were on was a lot of one night stands around the world, and they're very exhausting, and there's blizzards and all that kind of thing, and unloading the van and the setting it all up and finding the venues are locked. They've forgotten you're coming and all those kind of things. So
Oh,
you,
natural theatre. Oh, dear.
and of course in Germany, they you work on Christmas Day if you're in a show. It's I think in tradition in Britain, isn't it, that the pantomime, for instance, is on Boxing Day, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
In Germany, where we would frequently find ourselves at Christmas, and it is wonderfully Christmassy there.
Yeah.
You have to work.
Goodness
Yeah, all
gracious. No,
people in their
no.
best clothes turning up for a matinee. All you can think about is the pub.
The smell of mulled
Yeah,
wine
yeah.
and
We'll
Stollen.
be in the pub in 90 minutes. Don't worry. What's next?
Oh, yes, I will.
Yeah.
Can I? You very kindly supplied me and surprised me with a few notes of Christmassy tales around the Natural Theatre Company. But the very last thing on your list was what I wanted to start with. And that was your memories of taking part in the school nativity during the 1950s. I'm sorry, that sort of gives your age away. During a flu epidemic. What memories do you have of that?
Well, it was the famous flu epidemic where everyone was going down like ninepins. And in our little village school, well, the thought of being in a play was awful to me, just awful. I mean, the thought of going on stage until I was about 25 was unbearable. But I was chief shepherd in the nativity play, and I had to say that one of the shepherds said, "And what about the sheep?" And I had to say, "Oh, God will take care of the sheep." And that was my line. So
While you go to see the Holy Babe.
yeah, well, I headed off to the stable,
Yeah.
and of course, in the flu epidemic, Joseph got flu.
Oh dear.
He couldn't be in it. So I had to hurry, go. I said, Jesus, God will take care of the sheep. Then run behind and change the tea towel and come on as Joseph, you see. And then the girl playing the angel Gabriel also went down with flu at the last minute. So I also had to be angel Gabriel.
You had to wing it.
Yeah. And my mum was came out with the famous line, what 3 tea towels? Because you had to go home and ask your mum for a tea towel, you know, that showed you
that was
biblical.
Definitely part of the costume. I'm stepping aside of Christmas just briefly because you said, what was it? It wasn't until how old were you? 21, 25?
25, 22.
Before suddenly you thought, I can do this. What changed?
I think because people laughed, people found me funny, and I think that's a way in. If you're very, very shy, making people laugh is quite often the answer, accidentally probably. At grammar school, I avoided, for instance, I wanted to do German. You had a choice, German or French, and German would have been much more useful in retrospect. But you had to be in a German play, and there was no way I was going to be in a play. So I did French.
Well, humour is something that carried you through all your years at Natural Theatre. Top of your list of Christmas tales was the Bath Arts Workshop annual Christmas Day dinner for 200 old or lonely, or both, you put in brackets. That's a few years ago now. Where was that held?
Well, we first held it at the Organ Factory, which is in the back of Cleveland Bridge there, and it's quite small, and it was a way of not going home. It was a way of having a proper Christmas Day, and including everyone around in it. And the funny thing, you know, it's avoiding parents really at that age. And of course it was so wonderful. Our parents started coming down and volunteering to carve the turkey, and someone's dad even came from Nottingham in a caravan, you know. And then it got bigger. So we used to, until it was demolished, we used the wonderful canteen at Stotherton Pits, which got a proper stage, and it had a massive, wonderful kitchen, and they lent us the canteen for 3 days. So,
how old were you then?
25, I suppose.
And part of the fabulous Bath Arts Workshop, which is no more. You had a lot of donations to the event. You said every pub in Bath donated a bottle. You had prisoners from Bristol jail who couldn't tie up balloons.
Yes, we worked closely with social services, I think they were called then, and a lot of the guests were forwarded from them and the Salvation Army, although they didn't approve of the alcohol, of course. We used to pop our head into the Salvation Army and say, anyone want to come to the Christmas? And the place would empty. and we used to get the telly from DER, and the turkeys were all the big ones that the butcher couldn't sell. So there we were at 7:30 in the morning in the kitchens, literally booting the turkeys into the ovens.
Goodness gracious, they were that big. And boiling the veg in wood-burning coppers.
When we had to go to St Mark's Church, we used to use that after the canteen was demolished, I think.
Yeah.
There's no kitchen there or anything, so you had to improvise. And we used to have quite a lot of emergency equipment. And there were these wood-burning coppers with little chimneys with a triangular thing on the top of the chimney, you know, traditional
I can
field kitchen.
Field kitchens.
We would actually cook the veg round the back. And the social services used to send people along to help, or suggest they come along. So one year we had all these Chinese mature students, all in their Mao suits, all cut in sprouts, or they cut great big huge vats of sprouts, and then stood in a line across the altar of the church and bowed and went. And
Probably
then,
the first time they'd ever seen a sprout.
it might be. And, and then we had the prisoners, I suppose they were from Horfield, I'm not sure. They came to blow up, and I got them blowing up balloons, and they were rubbish at it. I think it's because they smoked so much, and they couldn't tie the knots. So I literally had bleeding fingers after tying up 400, 500 balloons, you know.
Your memory and your mind is absolutely amazing from one sentence to the other. You had memories of stopping a seemingly homeless man in Pulteney Road.
Oh, yes. We would get the workshop van, which is called King Kong Transport. It's a big pink and green, embarrassing van. We used to deliver our second-hand goods. And people at Snow Hill would buy a sofa and say, you won't come round with that Hong Kong van, will you? Because people knew they got it for £1, you know.
Oh, the shame.
Yeah. So we used to get whatever we had in the shop, like a 3-piece suite and stuff and a lamp, and do the back of the van up like a lounge with Christmas decorations and a bottle of sherry. And Brian, who worked with me for almost as long as I've been there, he would drive, put on a Father Christmas hat, and he would drive around Bath on the morning of Christmas Day, because it was always on Christmas Day. It had to be proper. And stop and say, you know, hop in. People would hop in. For instance, we were going through Widcombe once, and there was a lady sitting on the wall there crying. And we said, you're all right, you know. She looked quite a smart lady, and she said, no, I've come out because I burnt my Christmas dinner. We said, hop in, you know. And she thought she'd gone to heaven. And there was this old man shuffling along Pulteney Road. I said, there's one. And morning. He said, would you like to come to the old folk lonely dinner? You know, he said, no, my wife's got dinner under control. I'm just going to the county hotel for a drink. Who goes to the county hotel wearing slippers, you know?
Oh dear, that's absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
What was this about, taking you to, no, we'll get on to Germany in a moment. There's so much here. Christmas in the pump room for the lady who got left behind and only had a tin of beans.
Yes, it's awful. Up Ballant Street, where they built those quite ugly flats,
yes,
which we're used to now, but at the time were horrendous. They preserved the facades and the houses, but the doors around the back where the flats are, so the doors on the street aren't real. They're concrete. They're not even wood. They're painted, but the facades are completely unusable. A guy volunteered to go around, pick up people from that area to bring them down.
Yeah.
And of course, he went along knocking on those doors.
What, the false ones?
Yes. And he came back and said, nobody's in. So I said, well, all right, they must have sorted themselves out. Anyway, I got a letter from this woman, young woman. And you know, like that Gerard Hoffnung thing, when he goes up on the building site, he goes up and he gets hit on the head and the lift comes down. You know that? It goes on and on. Then the bricks fall out, so the lift goes shooting up again and he hits his head again on the way up. It was like that. Shouldn't laugh really, but she'd sat there. She'd come down the stairs and sat by her proper front door in the cold, you know, and nobody had come. So she struggled back up the stairs and she sat there and she decided she'll have to eat something, and all she had was a tin of beans, and it was on the shelf, and she climbed on a stool, fell off.
Oh dear.
Didn't really hurt herself that much, but the story just, you know, you couldn't make it up. It was awful. So we didn't know what to do. So what I decided we would do, there was a couple of other people who had been missed or had been ill.
Yeah.
So we had Christmas in the pump room in June or July, and they did the table up for us. Father Christmas came and they had a slap-up Christmas dinner and a picture in the Chronicle, you know, and all was well.
What a great idea.
Yeah.
So having missed out on the real thing, a special Christmas for
but
them.
that had never happened before. There was always one everyone was volunteered, although I was paid, obviously, because it was my job.
Yeah.
But there was a coordinator every year, and that was a paid job. And so it made it, you couldn't afford it that sort of thing to happen too often.
No.
I mean, there's 200 people, maybe 120 of them got to be picked up. Of course, they forget where they live because they've had a few sherries.
Well, so you can't take them home afterwards.
Or they put the wrong coat on with the label on. We've tried all these different methods, and you'd still end up with one or two in the back of the minibus going, "No, it's not here."
Oh,
you shouldn't laugh, really, but
like
I mean,
little evacuee children with their addresses around their necks.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I could just visualise an OAP riot for the 3 Marks and Spencer sliced loaves.
You see, Marks and Spencer's got it all sorted now. They give to proper charities and everything. It's all big.
It's
a
all
big
done.
doing. They're doing, aren't they? Doing 1 million. Sainsbury's, for instance, is doing 1 million meals, aren't they, this year?
Fabulous.
Well, at the time, Marks and Spencer's would phone up and say, "Come round Christmas Eve, and you can have all the out of date, just gone out of date that day, past the sell by date stuff." And it was mostly sliced bread. I mean, hundreds of loaves. And we'd go around there, load it all up, and put it in a big stack. For instance, it was very difficult to know how to distribute it. So I devised a sort of raffle. You drew a ticket and you went in an orderly fashion into the foyer of the Stotherton Pits and get given a sliced loaf, choice of brown, white, or whatever.
You had the choice.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And Brian just threw the door open and said "free bread" or something like that, and there was sort of this rather respectable dinner turned into a heap of flailing arms and legs and almost punch-ups. People loading up great big bundles of loaves. So I was really cross.
You couldn't make it up.
He
Ralph.
thought it was funny, but I was thinking health and safety.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Because
oh,
another
dear.
thing happened like that. We had a jumble sale in the council lent us the whole of the corner opposite the station with the hairdresser, the barber, bath barber, that whole that was army corner. Recruiting and all sorts. But they lent us the whole block when it was derelict. Yeah. So we painted up our colours pink and green. And the planners came around and said, "Oh, didn't realise it was going to be pink and green, so we had to paint it brown when we finished with it." We'd go to the paint works and say, "What's your dullest colour?" Just to get our own back. And we had one bit was cafe, and another bit was jumble sales, regular jumble sales leading up to it. So we go around. And there was a place called Yours by Return in Walcott Street, which was shoes by mail order. Or they distributed shoes to shops and things like that. And they would send out just one shoe as a sample. So they ended up with hundreds of left foot or right foot shoes, or trainers.
Okay.
And they closed down, or they were moving or something, and they gave us, they said, "Do you want a couple of 100, 300 odd trainers?" We said, "Yeah, we'd do something funny with it." So we piled them up in the jumble sale bit in the window, and it said, "If you can find a pair, 50p, brand new, isn't it?" And my mum came down. She went through the whole lot. She sat in a shed down Walcott Rec, and she did find quite a few pairs. So we sold those separately. And then there were ones that were similar. You could hardly tell the difference. A stripe here, a stripe there. And that finally you ended up with this big mountain of completely odd shoes. And there was a queue right round the corner when we went down there, unlocked, and they all went belting in, and again there was a shoe riot. All trying to, and they was absolutely, people going off absolutely convinced they'd got a pair. Imagine get home to the husband, "Hey, I bought you a lovely pair." "That's not a pair." Take it back. Anyway, it was a derelict building, and you could only use the bits we were licensed to use. And this old lady, she found a way round through the hallway of a different door. She went round, hurrying around to get at these shoes, and the floor collapsed.
Oh no!
And she went through the floorboards and did her ankle in.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Luckily, not a suing society in
The
those
Bath
days.
pensioners are not tame, I tell you that.
Well, I can well remember being taken to jumble cells by my mother back in the days before they were really charity shops, which killed the jumble cells. But there we go. Let's get on to Bath Natural Theatre Company now. And Christmas is spent away.
Yeah.
You mentioned a one-night stand in the US Virgin Islands at the Ritz.
Yes, we were very, very busy, and got 4 groups on the road, I think, that around Christmas time, week before Christmas, I think it was. And our general manager, she said, "Oh, you won't believe this, but I've just had a call for a gig in the Virgin Islands, ha ha ha, American Virgin Islands." And she said, "We can't take that, And I looked at my mate Chris, who was there. He was Lady Margaret's pianist. He happened to be there. I said, "We could do that." And she said, "No, don't be daft. It's a one-night stand, a corporate event." And we said, "Let's do it." So we did it. We flew to the Virgin Islands with John from John Spikes, who's a good little actor actually.
Right.
He said, "Well, I'll come as well." So the 3 of us went off to the Ritz-Carlton.
Did you have to pay for the trip?
No, it was all paid for.
Expenses.
We went there, stayed the night, did the gig, stayed half a night, and then flew home.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Did they laugh?
Yeah, we went down the storm. But the American Airways had an embargo on cardboard boxes at Christmas because they get crushed. So our big flower pot masks that we wear, they were all broken. So we had to perform standing with our backs to a wall because they were all smashed. I was absolutely furious. When I got back to Heathrow, I went storming down to the American Airways desk, and I said, I sort of went like that, and they've got a sort of code there. As soon as I raised my voice, the staff melted away, just melted away. And a burly man appeared and said, "Stand away from the desk, sir. Stand away from the desk." Like that. I said, "You've broken my flower pots." And John was going, "Yeah, all right, Ralph, come on.
The famous flower pot.
So you go all over the world. I mean, you say we've been all over the world. All over the world. I mean, no kidding. But as one of the performers said to me, she said, "Well, I saw the Great Pyramid of Giza, but I saw it through tiny holes in a flower pot."
One of my favourite characters from Natural Theatre. Christmas and New Year in an airport chain hotel in Berlin, and the chefs there managed to find you a little bit of a Christmas treat.
Yes, we. I wasn't even in the show. I think there was friction in the company, and I was there to sort of smooth things out. So I had to flip and spend Christmas in an airport hotel because the agent had put us up in a Novotel, which is nice, modern, but comfy and standard. Basic, but it was at the airport.
Right.
So it was a bit dire for Christmas, and I think I was sent out there to, cheer things along.
Yeah.
And the wall had just come down, so it was a very exciting time to be in Berlin. And we were the only guests nearly by Christmas Day. So the chefs, you wouldn't think they would, but they found a goose. And they did a goose for us, or bits of goose, legs and arms. And I went to that famous department store, Kaufhof des Westens, it's called. It's like Harrods, but in West Berlin.
Right.
Very, very famous food floors and floors of food. And I thought, well, what can I buy for the company, cheer them up? And I saw this metre-long Toblerone.
Oh, my favourite chocolate.
And the triangles were 6 inches, probably. And I'm sure it was just for display, but I mimed, 'cause I couldn't speak German really. I said, well, can you sell me that? And they agreed, and I bought it. And it was absolutely gigantic. And we left the shop, and I realised I hadn't bought a present for our agent. So I said to John, who was with me, another John, I said, can you hold the Toblerone while I go back in and buy Mrs. May's a little Christmassy gift? All right, he said. So I went back in. Of course, all the East Berliners were over through the...
the wall had come down.
Come down that week before.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks before. And they were all... When I went back out, they were all queuing up to have selfies with John and this enormous Toblerone, and to them it represented the decadent West. You know, over here they have Toblerones this big.
Freedom.
Yeah. And of course we had it for after we'd had our goose. I shared out the Toblerone.
God, how did you chop that up?
Well, we couldn't break it. You couldn't. And because it's really mean now, isn't it? It's really thin. And big gaps in it.
All the chocolate bars have shrunk.
Yeah. And the chef came out with an axe, and he chopped it into sections with the axe. And then if you went into anyone's room for the next fortnight, there was this with great big chunk with tooth marks on it. Last thing at night, you know, trying to eat a bit of chocolate.
Oh, they were living on Toblerone.
Yeah.
The old witch in the Caribbean who cursed you. What had you done?
Oh God, you're churning up the old stories here.
Yeah.
Well, I went to the Caribbean on my own to get away, and the hotel had this outing. You could go. There's a volcano on Nevis where I like to go, a little tiny island. It's mostly just a volcano, dead volcano, and you can climb it, but it's quite difficult. But they do a nature walk. I thought I'd go on that, and I'd actually forgotten it was Christmas because it's not like Christmas. There's none of the signals there. It's blue sky and
no snow.
Yeah, and everything. And in fact, two Christmassy things happened. I was sitting on the beach, and suddenly 3 old gentlemen in nylon flared trousers and brightly coloured shirts with homemade ukuleles and a bit of a car engine and a thing suddenly started playing and coming along with a jam jar to the hotel guests collecting money, and they're going jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Oh, fab.
Really slowly.
Yeah.
It was really, and I suddenly felt Christmassy. I thought, oh blimey, it is Christmas, you know. So I tipped them generously, of course. And then I went on this nature outing. And you go right up this lovely mountain, and then there's 1 or 2 cottages up there. And a lady, the extraordinary thing about Nevis is that there are rose bushes around.
Okay.
The roses were out, and that was not Christmassy. But this woman had one of those spiky pine things that grow in the tropics, and she'd done it up. All lovely with tinsel and an angel on the top, and
like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, absolute perfect Christmas tree against the blue sky. So I thought, well, I've got to get a shot of that, and I suddenly was overwhelmed with Christmasness like that, and she appeared and started shouting and gesticulating and talking in this patois. So I got back in the minibus, and I said, well, what was she saying? And the driver said, she was cursing you for not asking permission to take a photo of the tree.
She was probably expecting to cross a pond
probably,
with a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're out with the company and performing, you have to improvise. And there's a memory here about trying to make a melting snowman costume in Brisbane, Australia.
Well, all the actors were... I had a team of Australian actors at the World Expo in Brisbane. We were there for quite a few months. It got hotter and hotter and hotter, and they were asking for shorter shifts and saying we should only work in the shady bits of the site in a huge, massive World's Fair. And I thought, well, it'd be quite funny to make snowmen and then make them wet so it's cool to wear, and they can just sit on a wall and melt.
Yeah.
And it would drip, and they can't complain about being too hot. So I thought I'd make a experiment and try and make a prototype. So I bought this insulating padding stuff, and I was trying to make a snowman with electric sewing machine, sat on the floor in this big rehearsal room with my back to the door. And I sort of realised that people were coming in. When I turned round, it was the New Zealand Maori Army regiment, contingent. They've got a Maori army contingent.
Right.
What do you call it?
A bit like our equivalent of the Gurkhas.
Yeah.
Then. Yeah.
And
a corps.
And
a
they
regiment.
suddenly started. They were doing they were a choir, I think, or singers and dancers.
Right.
And then we were next to the big arena, so they were coming in to warm up.
Right.
And they suddenly did a haka. Haka, is it called? And
Yeah.
They're doing this stuff, and I'm sitting on the floor, and they're there, like, and I'm with my little... Hello.
Making your little snowman.
Yeah.
Did it work?
No, you couldn't. Didn't work.
It
was too difficult. It failed. It was a failed project. Yeah.
But a great idea.
But horrifying to see. I mean, they're big geezers,
They are.
Yeah.
Big guys, yeah.
And they didn't even look at me. I mean, they didn't think anything of it. There's some...
Oh, you were just a snowflake.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish, because I don't want to wear you out,
Right.
with the one that made me smile most of all. Going back to the Christmas nativity, a Christmas nativity scene in Tower Hamlets underground car park.
Yes, we used to do a animated walking tour called Pilgrim's Progress, and it was led by a pilgrim dressed as John Bunyan, and it would be fitted. We did it in Walcott, we did it in Dublin, and you fit the story from Pilgrim's Progress around whatever is in the area where you happen to be. Go. Yeah. For instance, in Dublin, the entrance to heaven was over the famous halfpenny bridge, or whatever it's called, the footbridge.
Over the Liffey.
Yeah, and you have to get into heaven, you have to get rid of all your worldly goods. So earlier in the walk, we distributed these little toy watches and things like that. So when we got to the bridge, the audience threw their watches into the river.
Okay.
Or their jewellery.
Wouldn't get away with that now.
No, not now, no. And of course, on this famous bridge, it's got people begging all the way across it, and you see their faces when everybody starts throwing their jewellery into the river. So anyway, where were we? What were you asking?
Tower Hamlets.
Oh yeah, well they asked us to do it in Tower Hamlets. So we didn't have a pilgrim. He wasn't available, so I did it as the Reverend Thomas Cook, vicar and tour guide. And so I met them under that Hawksmoor Church, famous Hawksmoor Church, and I led the through various scenes. And there were an old lady who, a very old lady who was an activist. She was absolutely determined to be in this thing. Okay. She was part of the community and activists and all that. And, yeah. So we said, well, what are we going to do with, what can we get her to do? She can't walk very far. She's got to be sitting down. I said, well, she could be the Virgin Mary. So the market up on Watney Market is modern. Right. And they built a market up on a platform. Yeah. And underneath is a car park. So they gave us a couple of spaces. So we set up a manger. Someone, a costermonger, presumably, had a donkey. So we had a real donkey. And I think a rabbit.
Did you manage to get this rather aged
Mary
on top of the donkey?
No, she sat on a rustic chair.
Okay.
In a lovely blue Virgin Mary outfit, and she put on a virginal face.
Yes.
Quite difficult with no teeth, and and it was absolutely fantastic. It really was. Yeah.
I bet that went down a storm.
Yeah, it was very beautiful, actually.
Do you miss those days?
Sort of. I think I did enough, really.
Yeah.
There's a limit to how much time you can spend being someone else.
Yeah.
And when you're doing that kind of environmental stuff, you have got to be the character. You're not spouting lines.
No.
You've got to be on top of it. You've got to improvise, and it is exhausting.
Yeah.
Other people are still carrying on doing it, but rather my bad knees was an excuse, really,
To stop it.
and perhaps be in a more directorial role, perhaps, if anyone offered,
Yeah.
which they haven't, particularly. But I think I'd more or less had enough of it. I've certainly had enough of the stage shows.
Right.
I got fed up with it because I can't learn lines, and the shows seem to get more and more wordy.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Ralph, the one thing you haven't lost and you still have in copious quantities is your sense of humour.
Hopefully.
And thank you for letting me come back and have a chat with you. And with Christmas in mind, can I wish you a happy and peaceful Christmas?
I rather hoped you were going to say prosperous. Thank you.
Well,
Same to you.
the new look Ralph Oswick
I
is
know,
looking
I don't know what
forward
to do with myself. I
20
did do a quick Lady Margaret the other day, and I switched on the lights in Widcombe, and I didn't know how to get out the car. I mean, normally I make a great fuss of being a big fat lady falling out the car,
Yeah.
and I just got out the car because it was so easy. And I thought, well, what do I do now? No one's laughing because I haven't fallen over. I haven't got stuck. And the thin Lady Margaret doesn't work, I don't think.
But you look better for it, Ralph.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.